Let's talk about the BBC. As I was just saying, Lisa Nandy, the Culture Secretary, is demanding to know why no one has been fired for the Glastonbury debacle. You know, allowing anti-Semitism, you know, death to the idea, onto the BBC screens. Bob Vylan allowed to perform live on the BBC. Was some time before they were taken down from the iPlayer. Complete balls up, and the BBC admit it. Oh, we did that wrong, and with the benefit of hindsight, we should have taken them off there. They've admitted that. No one's got the sack, least of all the Director General, who seems to just stagger from one self-created crisis to the next. The hapless Tim Davie seems to be Teflon Tim, God knows why. But no one gets sacked from the BBC. Why is that? Let's talk to ex-BBC presenter Adrian Mills. Welcome, Adrian.
Thank you very much indeed. I've been sacked by the BBC. Seems to me that if you're a presenter, you do get sacked. But if you're on 200 grand as a senior executive, then you dodge the bullets.
Yeah, you're right about that. Of course, the odd presenter or star does get their marching orders. But this is a sort of different issue, really. Now, what's happened here is that Lorna Clark, she's head of music at the BBC. She gets £215,000 a year. I was thinking, what does she do for that? Head of music. Anyway, nice work if you can get it. Now, she's taken the rap for what happened, the Bob Vylan death to the IDF. She's taken the rap for it. And so we're also informed by the BBC, and I quote, a small number of senior executives. So Lorna Clark, head of music, and a small number of senior executives, because of this absolute disaster, this debacle that unfolded at Glastonbury, you know, this rampant anti-Semitism being allowed to go onto the TV and to stay there. They've all been asked to, and I quote, step back. Now,
what does that mean?
Well, quite. Lisa Nandy is saying, well, why haven't they been asked to step out of the building and not return, as in, why haven't they been sacked? So why has no one got their marching orders for this? And I think most poignantly, why the hell is Tim Davie still there? Apparently, when this happened, he went around saying, I think I can survive this. I think I can survive this. How many more times is that guy going to be allowed to go around going, I think I can survive this? You've had the Gary Lineker saga, Hugh Edwards, now this, you name it. Jermaine Genius. Yeah, exactly right. Jermaine Genius, you name it. This guy is in charge of the problem. Has been for, he's hapless. He staggers from one crisis to the next. No suggestion that he's getting fired, nor anyone else. What is it about the BBC that it can't see that someone should take responsibility for what happened at Glasgow?
Well, what's quite extraordinary is if you mentioned there the head of music. Now, the people that work for that department, of which there are many people, hundreds I would suspect, if not thousands, they have a knowledge of music, of all genres of music. So to actually broadcast live somebody that you know has been risque in the past is quite extraordinary. And I spoke to somebody recently who said, oh yes, but we don't do time delays. What on earth are you talking about? 2 or 3 of the programmes that I've worked on in the past that have been broadcast live have been broadcast as live, i.e. there's a 10, 15-minute or 30-minute delay. So, for example, when I used to work That's Live, in case we were to libel anybody or we put up the wrong photograph, we were running as live so that we could correct it and then we'd broadcast it. The very fact that these people, this is their speciality, didn't realise that there was a huge risk with broadcasting this gentleman live, I find totally astounding. But as you so rightly say, people don't get sacked at the BBC. They get moved sideways. You know, probably a couple
They step back, Adrian. They step back.
Step back, my friends. We should all step back. I suspect a few of them will turn up on Songs of Praise, you know, as a penance for them. But overall, it is a closed shop. They will put the ring fence around and there's nothing to see here. We've dealt with it.
Yeah, you're right. They mark their own homework. And, you know, Samir Shah, the chairman of the BBC, with indecent haste after this debacle of Bob Vylan, announced that we have full confidence in Tim Davie. Well, you said, you said that about Hugh Edwards. You said that about Gary Lineker. You said that about Jermaine Janus. What will it take for you, Samir, to lose some of this great confidence you have in this man, Tim Davie? Here's a fact for you, though. This is what is worrying, right? In terms of the BBC, as you say, closing in on itself, not firing anyone, marking its own homework, refusing outside help with their various problems. So over the past 7 years, apparently, the state broadcaster, the BBC, has dealt with 400 serious cases of alleged bullying and sexual harassment. 400. How many people have been fired?
Oh, I would think probably less than 10.
Yeah, it's 8.
Oh, well, there you go.
It's 400 cases, 8 people have been fired in 7 years. So we have a problem here, don't we, Adrian?
Yeah, we do. But what I would say there is, what is the definition of bullying? I mean, because I've worked live television, as you have, as you're doing now, and you've worked in newsrooms. You see bullying in newsrooms. Don't tell me you never did.
I think I've probably done it.
Well, there you go. But there are certain people take it on board. And if you're working in a gallery, I mean, I know somebody that complained to their bosses that they were being bullied by the fact that a producer had shouted at them in the middle of a live programme. Now, I'm sorry, but that's the nature of the business that you're in.
I totally accept that, Adrian, but that ratio, that's disproportionate. Yes. 400 cases, 8 people have been fired. Yeah. We're talking about what happened in Glastonbury. Lisa Nandy, who is not sort of full of antipathy for the BBC by any means, she loves the public service broadcaster. Even she is furious. She's saying, why has no one been fired? The BBC cannot be allowed to keep doing this, can it? No. Folding it in on itself, marking its own homework, protecting everyone and telling the rest of us, those of us who pay for the damn broadcaster, oh, you can get out of this, we'll deal with this.
And the argument that they will put forward as well is that actually we've got some creme de la creme of the television broadcasting world, and they made a mistake on this occasion. We've asked them to, as you so rightly say, step back. But we can't afford to lose them because we pay them a reasonable salary. And you go, a reasonable salary, 200 grand? It's ridiculously expensive. And they'll say, but if they were in the commercial world, they'd be earning a lot more.
No, they wouldn't. That's just a lie.
Go to the commercial world, and you'll find that, no, they won't, because the commercial world is crushing in at the moment, lack of advertising, etc., etc. But I have seen, in my time working at the BBC, some horrendous cases of bullying. And on 2 occasions, one in particular, I actually reported it, where a senior presenter stuck his tongue in the ear of a young junior production assistant late evening. I reported it to the editor. The editor called the presenter in, and in the middle of that meeting, then went to the door and said, can you come in to the young sort of AP assistant? She came in, started crying. She was like 18 years old. And the editor said, tell him what you told me. Well, she didn't have to tell him because he knew what he'd done to her. What happened? 2 weeks later, she's moved on to another programme. The presenter went on to greater things. And that girl who I bumped into a couple of years ago, she said, I'll always remember that. Thank you for standing up for me. She said, but I decided that television wasn't for me. Yet it should have been for her. And it was dealt with appallingly.
I think I've told you before, Adrian, I have a friend of mine who quite a few years ago complained about Hugh Edwards. Now, my friend was, shall we say, way down the pecking order. Hugh Edwards was turning his attentions to him. He complained to HR. HR said to him, well, Hugh's a very important man. Are you sure you want to proceed with this? That's the BBC for you, isn't it?
Well, that is the problem, because it's career limiting. And you think if you raise your head above the parapet, you're the one that's going to get sort of shoved sideways. You're the one who's going to lose your job. And that person will go on and they go, no, nothing to do with me, because certain people feel totally untouchable.
Absolutely right. Adrian, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and I'm glad that you've probably found gainful employment since the BBC fired you.